and in the best interest of the city, I'm going to remove my conflict of interest and proceed forward. With that, I'll yield the floor. Council, who wants to go next?
I'll take it.
Go ahead.
I'm outside of the legal proceedings, obviously. So I'm just sitting here listening, and I've read all the briefs for today's meeting. And I heard that the mayor was going to make a declaration that he had no longer had a conflict of interest. So as an independent citizen, as a person that has been on this earth for 70 years and has been through a lot of situations and has a lot of experience, I find it hard to believe why Mr. Mayor Thomas Funk does not have a conflict of interest. If he acts like he doesn't have a conflict of interest, what he's doing, he's exploiting his official capacity for his own self-interest. It's very obvious. He is the lead plaintiff. He started this thing. He started this whole lawsuit business, the other 12 citizens. So how in the world, I'm not a lawyer, but how in the world could he not have a conflict? He's exploiting his own self-interest by not having a conflict. So as a person sitting at this bench with the other 4 council members, I have great difficulty with the declaration by the mayor of what he wants to do. As a matter of fact, I don't agree with it, and I find it absurd and ridiculous and truly, truly scary. That's it.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Conflict
Councilman
of
Gregory?
interest that has come up many times already since I've been on this council, and as it's been explained to me, there's 2 kinds of conflicts. There's perceived conflict of interest and there's legal conflict of interest. And the bar for legal conflict of interest is obviously very high from my understanding of it. So if our city attorney can't answer this question tonight, I certainly can't answer it. As far as a perceived conflict of interest, I'm sure there is a perceived conflict of interest, and that is a political risk that Mayor Funk is taking, and I have no authority or ability to weigh in on that. Quite frankly, that's up to the mayor to make his own choice on that issue.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
just to be clear, Councilmember Gregory, I am not unable to answer the question. The mayor has declared a conflict many times previously, and I absolutely agree with that. There's not a lot of gray there for me. There is gray regarding conflict of interest law, and the mayor and I exchanged an email about that. This isn't gray to me.
Oh,
So,
it is your opinion that he does have.
absolutely.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So let's say that again.
Well,
That you
I
definitely think he has a conflict of interest as a city attorney.
that is my view, absolutely. I think I've said that enough times that I don't need to go through. I mean, we spent a lot of time month and a half ago, 2 months ago, talking about conflict of interest, and at the conclusion of that, the council actually adopted a new policy, a more stringent policy regarding conflicts of interest as a result of mayor raising some conflict questions. I thought I detailed it then, but I'll just read from the case, and Mayor, you have exchanged some emails with me referring to this case, so I think it's the case you rely on. The case says, the purpose behind the creation of a rule which would disqualify public officials from participating in proceedings in a decision-making capacity when they have a direct interest in the outcome is to ensure that their decision will not be an arbitrary reflection of their own selfish interests. There's no settled general rule as to whether such an interest will disqualify an official. Each case must be decided on the basis of the particular facts present. Based on that language, and then you get into something we've talked about as a group a number of times, a number of factors that you can take a look at if someone who appears to have a conflict is going to ignore the conflict and participate anyway. I don't need to get to any of those. I mean, the language that I've just read says if you, and I agree with you, you don't have to be a lawyer. If you have a direct interest in the decision before the body, you have a conflict. And it's very difficult for me to think of a case where you would have a more direct conflict than where the mayor is a plaintiff in litigation against sitting council members, and the issue before the city is whether to reimburse their legal fees. The mayor has a direct interest in that. I mean, it does not take a law degree to see that. So I don't, but I'm not going to prejudge the mayor's view on this because he won't tell me. He's not told me what different evaluation he's given it recently with a lawyer. I don't know that. So I'm not going to throw this attorney that I don't know who it is under the bus and their opinion. I don't know what the opinion is. I don't know who the lawyer is. So, but my view is the mayor as the plaintiff in litigation falls squarely within this language from the Lenz v. Coon Creek Watershed District, and there are other cases that follow it. And I think the general view among city attorneys is when you have an interest in a matter that comes before the city council, even if you don't have a personal financial interest in it, if you have a very unique interest in something that comes before the city council, you have a conflict on that issue. You have to disclose it, and you should not participate. I don't know the way out from under that rule in this circumstance. So I'm not trying to be evasive on that. I think the mayor has a conflict. I've said that previously. I have no reason to change my view on that.
Based on Mr. Vosa's testimony there, he thinks that the mayor does have a conflict of interest. Is there a way, or is there a consensus on the council that we could put this off another meeting and try to get something in writing from the mayor's attorney on explaining why he does not have a conflict of interest?
Well, I'll address that. The decision to remove my conflict is mine and mine alone, and I am removing my conflict of interest.
Mr. Attorney, Mr. Vos, is the city not open to litigation? I mean, a citizen could, since if we proceed like this with all kinds of decisions, isn't the city open to litigation because of this?
Yeah, Mayor and council members.
Exposed?
I mean, again, I'm not going to duck and cover on these things. You waited for me to be here. I got to tell you, though, in response to that question, the bigger concern that I have as a person that works for local governments, not just you, other local governments, and having seen this for a long time, my concern, and I think most cities' concern, is just a loss of confidence in decision-making. I mean, the problem fundamentally, and it's not just at the local government level, it's at any level. The problem is that if you act on things where it would appear to everybody, or most everybody, that you have a conflict, people lose confidence in the decision-making. Right? They lose confidence if they believe that you're acting for yourself and not for the good of the city or the state or the country. And so that is the more critical problem in my view. But yes, if you act on matters with a conflict, you raise potential legal liability for the city too, certainly. I mean, if not at the end of the day legal liability, you certainly increase the odds that folks are going to challenge legally actions that the city takes. As a practical matter, they're going to challenge actions that the city takes. So yes, I mean, but to me, the bigger concern is just that you reduce confidence in decision-making.
Go ahead.
So just to be clear, and I know the answer, but I would like City Attorney to state clearly, you do not represent any of us individually. Your duty is to protect the city against legal liability, and you make the statement you just made with that very clear distinction, correct?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, let me actually amplify that, and I don't want to get into private conversations I've had with you or prior members of council, but it would be fair to say this is a debate that's been of concern to this community for some time now. I have talked to council members, former and current, on both sides of the debate and made that point. So I'm not an attorney for any of you individually, and it doesn't matter which side of this fight you're on. That I don't represent you individually, any of you. That's right.